Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Chanda Baba Girivardhari Gopi Chanda Baba Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Prajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Prajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Ballava Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Prajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Guru Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading today from the Srimad-bhagavatam, 8th Canto, Chapter 6, text number 15. The chapter is called The Demigods and Demons Declare a Truce. We'll find out later on what that truce is. Okay, so Ahangiri Trashcha Saradayo Ye Dakshadayognir Iva Ketavaste King Vavidamesha Pritag Vipata Vidhatsva Shangno Dvijadeva Mantram Ahangiri Trashcha Saradayo Ye Dakshadayognir Ivaketavaste King Vavidamesha Pritag Vibhata Vidatsva Shangno Dvijadeva Mantram Ahangiri Trash Cha Saradayo Ye Dakshadayognir Ivaketavaste King Vavidamesha Pritag Vibhata Vidatsva Shangno Vijadeva Mantram Ahangiri Trascha Saradayo Ye Dakshadayognir Ivatketavaste King Vavidamesha Pritag Vibhata Vidatsva Shangno Dvijadeva Mantram Ahangiri Trascha Saradayo Ye Dakshadayognir Ivaketavaste King Vavidamesha Pritag Vibhata Vidatsva Shangno Dvijadeva Mantram. Very nice poetry. The whole Srimad-bhagavatam is 18,000 verses, and most of them are rhyme, except for certain like really scientific type statements that in the fifth canto they're written more in prose without the rhyme. Maybe it was too much to write them as rhyme. But everything else in Srimad-bhagavatam is like this.
But originally it was sang. It wasn't just. So it was sang as a song, right? Whatever it was sang as a song.
Well, it's called the Song of God, and Sanskrit in general can be sung, and most of the time the verses are all written in poetically. They rhyme. It's the only exception I know of in Srimad-bhagavatam is certain verses in the fifth canto that were written more like, I guess, in sentences instead of in a poetic way. Okay? Aham, I, Lord Brahma, Giritraha, Lord Shiva, Cha, also, Sura Adaya, all the demigods,
all the demigods,
yea, as we are,
as we are,
Daksha Adayaha, headed by Maharaj Daksha,
headed by Maharaj Daksha,
Agni,
Agni,
a fire,
fire,
Eva, like, Ketavaha, sparks, Te, of you, Kim, what, Va, either, Vidama, can we understand?
can we understand?
Isha, O my Lord, Pritak, Pritak Vibhataha, independently of you,
Independently of you,
Vidatsva,
Vidatsva,
kindly bestow upon us,
kindly bestow upon us,
Sham,
Sham,
good fortune,
good fortune,
Naha, our,
our,
Dvijadeva Mantram,
Vijadeva Mantra,
the means of deliverance suitable for the brahmanas and demigods.
the means of deliverance suitable for the brahmanas and demigods.
I, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and all the demigods, accompanied by the Prajapatis, like Daksha, are nothing but sparks illuminated by you, who are the original fire. Since we are particles of you, what can we understand about our welfare? O Supreme Lord, please give us the means of deliverance that is suitable for the brahmanas and the demigods. Repeat it to me. I, Lord Brahma,
Lord Brahma,
Lord Shiva,
Lord Shiva,
and all the demigods,
all the demigods,
accompanied by the Prajapatis,
accompanied by the Prajapatis,
like Daksha,
like Daksha,
are nothing but sparks
are nothing but sparks
illuminated by you,
illuminated by you,
who are the original fire.
who are the original fire.
Since we are particles of you,
Since we are particles of you,
what can we understand about our welfare?
what can we understand about our welfare?
O Supreme Lord,
O Supreme Lord,
please give us the means
please give us the means
of deliverance
of deliverance
that is suitable
that is suitable
for the brahmanas and demigods.
for the brahmanas and demigods.
Srila Prabhupada purport. In this verse, the word Dvija Deva Mantram is very important. The word mantra means that which delivers one from the material world. Only the Dvijas, the brahmanas, and the devas, demigods, can be delivered from material existence by the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Whatever is spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead is a mantra and is suitable for delivering the conditioned souls from mental speculation. The conditioned souls are engaged in a struggle for existence, mana shashtani indriyani prakriti-stani karshati. Deliverance from the struggle constitutes the highest benefit, but unless one gets a mantra from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, deliverance is impossible. The beginning mantra is the Gayatri mantra. Therefore, after purification, when one is qualified to become a Brahmana, Dvija, he is offered the Gayatri mantra. Simply by chanting the Gayatri mantra, one can be delivered. This mantra, however, is suitable only for the brahmanas and the demigods. In the Kali Yuga, we are all in a very difficult position in which we need a suitable mantra that can deliver us from the dangers of this age. Therefore, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his incarnation as Lord Chaitanya, gives us the Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kevalam, kalo nashteva, 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 gatir anyataha. Quote, in this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. End quote. In his Shikshashtika, Lord Chaitanya says, Parang Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. All glories to the chanting of Sri Krishna Sankirtan. The Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It's directly chanted by the Lord himself, who gives us this mantra for deliverance. We cannot invent any means to be delivered from the dangers of material existence. Here, even the demigods, such as Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, and the Prajapatis, such as Daksha, are said to be like illuminating sparks in the presence of the Supreme Lord, who is compared to a great fire. Sparks are beautiful as long as they are in the fire. Similarly, we have to remain in the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and always engage in devotional service, for then we shall always be brilliant and illuminating. As soon as we fall from the service of the Lord, our brilliance and illumination will immediately be extinguished. Or at least stopped for some time. When we living entities who are like sparks of the original fire, the Supreme Lord, fall into the material condition, we must take the mantra from the Supreme Personality of Godhead as it is offered by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. By chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, we shall be delivered from all the difficulties of this material world. Om Jnana Timiranda Shakana Jana Shalakaya Chakshorun Militamnina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So, in this age, in every age, there's a process for self-realization. It's something that the people in general can do, not just a certain class or a few individuals, but something that's just doable by the everyone. In the Satya Yuga, see how everyone's been listening. In Satya Yuga, what was the process?
Performing austerities.
It's a yoga system, Ashtanga yoga system, which included a lot of austerities, yes. So the Ashtanga yoga system was there in Satya Yuga. In the Treta Yuga, big sacrifices like fire sacrifices, horse sacrifices, and these kind of things. And in Dwapara Yuga, it was what? Nobody? Nobody's listening to these classes. Deity worship. Deity worship was the process. And then Kali Yuga, what is the process? Chanting Hare Krishna. Chanting the holy names of the Lord, so especially chanting Hare Krishna. Although the general principle is there, if you have some other name of God, you can also chant the other names of God. If it's actually a name of God. But you can't just make up a name of God and decide to chant it. Well, I'm going to call God Coca-Cola. So I'll keep chanting Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola, and then I'll become Krishna conscious. It will just become, I don't know what you'll become. You won't become Krishna conscious. So, but the principle, the method is in Kali Yuga is the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. And Lord Chaitanya, Lord Chaitanya is known as the most magnanimous of all the incarnations, even of all the Yuga avatars. Yuga avatars are the kind of avatars that come that give the method for self-realization for the people in general for that age. So I don't recall who the specific avatars were that brought the Ashtanga Yoga system and so on, but there were. So Lord Chaitanya is our Yuga avatar. So Lord Chaitanya, the chanting the Hare Krishna mantra already existed. It's eternal. But Lord Chaitanya came and demonstrated how chanting this Hare Krishna mantra and avoiding the sinful activities is the primary means for becoming Krishna conscious in this age. This is what he gave, and he also came. Lord Chaitanya, one of the reasons that he came to this world was to not just give us an opportunity for chanting Hare Krishna. I mean that's a means to an end. He gave us the opportunity to develop love of God on the in a way that we could never do before. None of the previous acharyas gave a method by which you become Krishna conscious and you even aspire to become in the spiritual world an associate, like a gopi or a conjugal relationship. They didn't teach that. It existed, but they didn't teach that. The other paths that were taught in the past were how to become God conscious, and going back to Godhead pretty much meant going to one of the Vaikuntha planets, where you're worshiping the Lord as God. You understand He's God, and you're going to tie Radha Braja Vihari Jagannath Balaram Mary Subhadra Ki. You understand that He's God, and you're worshiping Him as God, and you're happy. You're very happy in that situation, but there's no intimate relationship in the sense of as what Lord Chaitanya gave. Lord Chaitanya gave the means by the chanting of the holy names of the Lord and by other things that he taught. He gave the means by which we can develop an intimate relationship with Krishna in the mood of, in Goloka Vrindavan. There's Goloka Vrindavan, only one Goloka Vrindavan, and then there's unlimited Vaikuntha planets, other planets. But only in Goloka Vrindavan can you serve Krishna in this intimate way, as his lover or as his parent. You can't become, on the Vaikuntha planets, you can't become the father or the mother of Lord Vishnu. It doesn't happen. But in Vrindavan, anyone who desires that kind of relationship can have it. How do you become? So how in Vrindavan, Krishna Loka Vrindavan, if so many people want to be the father and the mother of Krishna, how's it possible? I've also explained these things.
Oh, yes.
So, anyone know?
How's it possible?
How is it possible that you can, if there are 1,000 devotees of Krishna or more in the spiritual world in Vrindavan, spiritual Vrindavan, who want to have a have a parental relationship with Krishna. They want to be father or they want to be mother of Krishna. How does this happen? We have Nanda Maharaj, we have Mother Yashoda, so they're eternally Krishna's father and mother. So how does someone else have that relationship? Okay, well, you can. Nectar Devotion explains that there are, of course, there's Nanda and Yashoda, who are the foster parents, Vasudeva and Devaki, who are the actual parents, the birth parents, that we say, and then Vasudeva, actually, he had 16 wives. This is common back then. He has 16 wives, so they all considered themselves mothers of Krishna, because they had that kind of relationship with Krishna, and besides them, in Dwarka, that's Vrindavan, but in Dwarka, many elderly devotees, also, even though Krishna was not growing up with them necessarily as a child, but they still saw him as in a parental way. They had that mood, just like their son. It's like so the mood was there. And besides that, in Vrindavan, we know the pastime of when Lord Brahma stole all the cowherd boys and the cowherd and the cows and the cowherd boys. So when that happened, when he performed that pastime, when Lord Brahma stole all Krishna's friends and all the cows, when Krishna stepped away for a moment, and he hid them in a cave somewhere, asleep. They were sleeping. And then Krishna comes back and finds out where is everyone? Everyone's just thousands of friends, millions of cows, and all of a sudden they're all gone. But of course, Krishna is very smart. He's Supreme Personality of Godhead, so he knew what was going on. So when this happened, then he understood. Oh, Lord Brahma was playing a trick on me, or Lord Brahma was actually testing him, which he probably shouldn't have done. But these are things done on a higher level, so we can't really criticize it, but we can learn about it. So Lord Brahma hid all the cows and all the cowherd boys in a cave somewhere, all sleeping, and a moment later, he thought, oh, maybe this is not a good idea. So it's a moment later of his time, but his time is different than Earth time. So when Lord Brahma thought, oh, I better not be doing this. Maybe it's not a good idea. So he came back to the spot. He was going to return all the cows and cowherd boys. But when he came back, Krishna had it was actually 1 year later, in Earth time. Or Brahma's lifespan is, his lifespan is 311 trillion years of our time now. So he came back in just a moment of his time, but it was actually a whole year later in Earth time. So So during that time, so when Krishna saw that the cowherd boys and the cows had disappeared, he was thinking, oh, what can I do? Lord Brahma probably stole them all and put them somewhere, but I can't go back to Vrindavan without my friends and without the cows. Everyone will it'll be too painful for everyone. What do I tell them? So he didn't tell them anything. He just expanded himself to look like and act like all the cowherd friends, thousands of them, maybe millions. I'm not sure how many friends Krishna had, but he had a lot of friends. So he expanded himself as them, and everyone looked exactly like they looked before, and expanded all the. Krishna's just taking care of the calves, the young cows at the time. So he made all the calves. He expanded himself like them, and then at the end of the day, they all went back to Vrindavan. And of course, nobody in Vrindavan had any idea what went on. But there was a difference, because those calves and cowherd boys, they were actually all incarnations of Krishna, expansions of Krishna. So when they got back to Vrindavan, the cows who were seeing their calves come back from the field, they had this amazing transformation. Their relationship with their own calves was so much more loving relationship, because it was actually Krishna. They loved Krishna so much. So here's their calves, but they love the calves now just like they love Krishna, because actually it's Krishna. So the cows also had like the parental relationship of Krishna, and then the cowherd men and the cowherd women, whose sons had gone out to the fields, when their children came back, they looked like their children, but they became so much more attractive to their parents, because they saw them with the same love, the same affection that they saw Krishna. Everyone loves Krishna more than anyone, even their own children. So now all these cowherd men and all these cowherd women actually have Krishna as their son, so their parents. So in that way, they all have this parental relationship with Krishna. Okay. So that's how it actually happens. And this went on for a year, like that, and then at one point where Brahma decided, actually, it's only a moment of his time, but then he came back to give the cows and the cowherd boys back, and Krishna showed him that all these forms of cows and cowherd boys, he showed them to Lord Brahma, and they appeared in Vishnu forms, like forearm forms. It shows that these are actually God. They're my expansions. And then, of course, Lord Brahma offers so many wonderful, perfect prayers to Krishna, begging him for forgiveness and saying so many, perfect prayers. Anyway, those prayers are in the Srimad-bhagavatam. So, so anyway, in the going back to the purport, we have a few more minutes only. So Srila Prabhupada says that we cannot invent any means to be delivered from the dangers of material existence. Yes, it's a fact. We might speculate, we may have some ideas, but to get out of the material existence means we have to become Krishna conscious. And the only way we can, and we can't make up anything. It's not like I just decide I got an IQ of 198, so I'm really, really smart, and I put all this knowledge and everything together, and now I can tell you, I I've come up with, I've invented a new way that we can all get deliverance from this material world that without surrendering to God. Yeah. See, so, but we can't do that. It won't work. We can only, the only way back to go back home, back to Godhead, is to follow the process that Krishna has given. And in this age, that means the chanting of the holy names. And for that chanting to be effective, we have to avoid sinful activities, and we have to, there's certain rules and regulations. We have to avoid the sinful activities. We have to have a spiritual master, render service to that spiritual master, and so on. Inquire from him submissively, and so on. And in that way, we can gradually, through this process, become Krishna conscious. But we cannot make up our own process. Prabhupada also mentions about the Gayatri mantra. You consider Gayatri mantra very important. Second initiation means Gayatri mantra for us. Prabhupada says, we have initiation, diksha, and then we have, after some time, if you stay serious and you're still chanting around, following the principles, so committed to ISKCON, then spiritual master may give second initiation. Second initiation is required for going on the altar, dressing the deities, doing the artis. Supposed to be for cooking. Somehow we've gotten off of that, but that was Prabhupada's standard. But we Gayatri mantra it helps to enhance our Krishna consciousness. But you have to be in the basically in the mode of goodness. Here it says you have to be Gayatri mantras for the demigods and for the brahmanas. Well, means if you have first initiation, then we have to come to the point, be strictly following those principles. We have to be really in the mode of goodness, which is basically following the regular principles, means being in the mode of goodness. So we have to be like that. Otherwise, the Gayatri mantra doesn't have any effect. Otherwise, so that's why when we after you get first initiation, then you have to wait for some time, maybe a year, maybe more. It depends on time and circumstance, and your specific spiritual master, and also how you're progressing. But you have to but the spiritual master wants to see that you're basically have some Brahminical type qualities. Otherwise, the Gayatri mantra is not. It won't have any effect. It won't have any benefit. Like that. Even the Hare Krishna mantra, if our chanting is too offensive, then it doesn't have much effect. We could chant Hare Krishna day and night for thousands of years, but if we're not following the regular principles, or we're making certain kinds of offenses, the 10 offenses like that, we're seriously making offenses, then that chanting, we can keep on going and chanting, but the real benefit of it won't come. Okay, I'm sure I'm out of time here. Any questions, comments?
What should be the initial effect of chanting?
The initial effect?
Yeah. Yes, besides developing the taste.
Yes.
It purifies karmic baggage.
Well, by chanting Hare Krishna, you're already burning up karma for sure. But and also you'll by chanting Hare Krishna is nice. I mean, it's pleasing. So by chanting Hare Krishna, you'll naturally get some higher taste.
This is the sign that we get right.
Yeah. If we're chanting and we're really feeling good, and we're starting to get some realization, some we become more convinced that the process that we're following is really going to benefit me, like that. All these kind of realizations will come by chanting, proper chanting.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure if I chant properly. So what should I?
Yes. If you were not chanting properly, you would probably be thinking about how to go out and do things that we don't do. Yeah, illicit sex or eating things that we don't eat, and because you have a higher taste from chanting, and in devotional service in general, including chanting. There are a lot of emphasis on chanting, so you have a higher taste from that. Your consciousness is higher, and therefore these other activities don't seem so attractive. So that's a good sign of proper chanting. If you're chanting Hare Krishna, if someone's just chanting Hare Krishna, like I know I joined the movement. Sometimes there was a competition to see who could chant their rounds the fastest, and you'd hear some of the devotees chanting. It sounded like a machine gun. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. I finished 16 rounds in just 20 minutes. Wow. But of course, but then later on they say, but I don't feel anything. Yeah, you don't feel anything because you can't chant that fast and hear it and listen to it and concentrate on it. So we chant at whatever speed we need to chant so that we can concentrate. And because the last 10th offense is to be inattentive while chanting, right? So if we're chanting Hare Krishna and our mind is off somewhere, we're dreaming about the lying on the beach in the warm sun or something, or about something else like that, and we're chanting Hare Krishna, but our mind is completely off of the chanting, but we're just kind of like going like autopilot, like that. You just keep on chanting without listening to it, without thinking about it, without being in the right consciousness, and your mind is 1,000 miles away somewhere, then that chanting is not going to be very effective. And if you're chanting like that regularly, then it's going to be a problem, because sooner or later these material things that we're avoiding will become they'll start becoming attractive, and the mind will start saying, well, most of the people I know are not following any principles. Maybe I think I can. I'll just follow 3 of them, and it'll be okay. The mind will start telling things like this, and then well, actually, I only have to chant 2 rounds, follow 2 principles. So the mind starts getting crazy, because the lower the consciousness goes, the more your mind starts telling you that this is okay. This is okay. This is okay. This is okay. Next thing you know, you're completely out in the material world, and you don't know what happened. When someone leaves the movement, they don't just leave the movement. They don't just not like they're just seriously really trying, giving everything to become Krishna conscious, and all of a sudden, what happened? It's a gradual process, contemplating the objects of the senses. You develop attachment and lust and anger, and so many kind of come. All these things come as it all starts with inattentive chanting. So if we're not feeling pulled towards these other things, our chanting we're okay. Hmm?
That's why it's so important.
Yes. Question? And no one came online at all today. So we'll end here, and tomorrow we will be on verse 16. There's a few verses here that don't have any purport, so we'll read a few verses tomorrow to get a purport. Shila Prabhupada Ki Jai.